Good evening. It is 6:30 p.m. May 10th, 2023, and the meeting of the Urban Design Commission will now come to order. May we have a roll call?
Edith McKee.
Here.
Allison Gordy.
Here.
Julia Foland.
Here.
Alexandra Nanalo.
Here.
Ryan Lucas.
Here.
Mark Cox. Monica Sullivan is excused. You have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. May we get a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, April 6, 2023? It has been moved by Commissioner Foland and seconded by Commissioner Gordy. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Are there any objections to the minutes being approved? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Our next order of business is disclosures. Are there any disclosures?
I have one.
Go ahead, Commissioner Ryan. Didn't show up.
I abstain from voting from the minutes because I was not yet seated on the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other disclosures? Hearing none, we'll move on to the public meeting. I'll read the public process. So this evening, we have a short board, and a yea vote of 5 will be required for a motion to pass. I will read the petitioner's, sorry. I need to go back and read the public, do the short. I apologize, this is my first evening in this role. When there is a short 5-member board or commission and a postponement is offered to and agreed to by the petitioner, they will be moved to the next regular agenda. This should occur within 30 days, which does not require re-noticing the case. If the petitioner is willing to postpone but unable to attend the next available meeting date within 30 days, the petitioner has a one-time only option to choose the next date, certain he or she can attend at no extra fee. So because we have a short board this evening, and a yea vote of 5 will be required for a motion to pass. Would the petitioner please come forward and state your name and spell your name, and if they go forward with the hearing, the case, or postpone it to the next available meeting.
Hi there. My name is Nicolette Dent. That's Nicolette. Last name Dent, D-E-N-T, representing Anchorage Parks and Recreation, and yes, we'd like to move forward.
Great, thank you. So in that case, now, I'm sorry, you can have a seat. Thank you. Okay, so now I'll read the public process. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Urban Design Commission at its meeting is, after the staff presentation is completed on public hearing items, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. Persons who wish to testify will follow the time limits established in the Urban Design Commission Rules of Procedure. Petitioners, including all of their representatives, are allowed 10 minutes. Rebuttal by the petitioner may be allowed when time has been reserved. Representatives of groups, this includes community councils, PTAs, are allowed 5 minutes. Individuals are allowed 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the commission. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the commission. Any party of interest wishing to appeal shall first file with the planning director within 7 days of the commission's decision made on the record a written notice of intent to appeal in accordance with AMC 21.03.050A.4A. Commission recommendations to the Anchorage Assembly are not appealable. Following approval of the written findings of fact and decision, any party of interest may, within 20 days, file an appeal by filing a notice of appeal and paying the appeal fee and deposit in accordance with Section 21.03.050. The notice of appeal must be filed with the planning director on a form prescribed by the municipality. If the appellant is not the applicant, the appellant notice of appeal shall include proof of service on the applicant. First on the agenda for public hearings is case 2023-0040. Petitioner is the municipality of Anchorage Parks and Recreation. May we have staff's presentation?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner McKee. Parks and Recreation with the municipality has submitted a trail review application to construct approximately 3.1 miles of single-track trails within Russian Jack Springs Park. These trails would be for beginner and intermediate mountain biking mostly, though they would also be available for other users and year-round. They would be constructed in the northern half of Russian Jack Springs Park, so north of DeBar Road, and it would be in an area that has existing Nordic ski trails. The new single-track trails would be accessed from existing parking lots and park entry points. There is sufficient parking on site to support this use. The Urban Design Commission may approve with conditions, or reject the trail review application during this public hearing. No public comments or community council comments were received by the planning department for the case. However, the application includes several letters of support or resolutions of support from several entities. Agencies provided either non-objective or non-subjective comments. These single-track trails are consistent with Title 21 and elements of the comprehensive plan, including the 2040 land use plan. The proposed single-track trails are also consistent with the Russian Jack Springs Park master plan. Therefore, the department recommends approval of the trail review application dated March 15th, 2023, consistent with the Russian Jack single-track trails concept design map dated December 2022, created by Alaska Trails and Coffin Engineers. That's the end of my staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff?
I'm so sorry. I just caught something I need to disclose. I was previously an employee of Coffin Engineers. I have not worked for them for over a year now, and I have no vested interest in this case personally, but I did need to disclose that. I'm sorry I missed that earlier.
So do you have any special knowledge or involvement in the project, or will you gain financially from this project?
No, I will not.
Thank you. May I please have a motion to direct Commissioner Nahalo to participate? It's so moved by Commissioner Gordy and seconded by Commissioner Foland. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, may we have a vote to direct Commissioner Nahalo to participate in case 2023-0040. Can't she vote for herself? No, she can't. Okay. Because we have a short board, we have to take a slightly different path forward. So are there any objections to Commissioner Nahalo participating in case 2023-0040? Okay, hearing none, I will direct Commissioner Nahalo to participate in case 02023-0040. Thank you for catching that.
The confusion there.
Okay, so I'll return to asking if there are any questions of staff. Okay, hearing none. Will the petitioner please come forward? Please state and spell your name for the record. You will have 10 minutes to present. Would you like to reserve any of your time?
Yes, 2 minutes.
Feel free to start whenever you'd like.
Thank you.
Oh, please state your name and spell it again, sorry.
My name is Nicolette Dent, Nicole Dent, D-E-N-T. And I'm with Anchorage Parks and Recreation. So thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair McKee. I'm here representing the Russian Jack Springs Park Single Track Trail Project, which was one of the top priorities identified in the recently updated master plan for Russian Jack Springs Park. So we're excited to present this to you today. Russian Jack Springs Park is located in northeast Anchorage. It serves a really dense and diverse part of our city. It's divided into 2 sections by DeBar Road, and it's very accessible. There's existing parking areas. It's on the bus route. It's connected to the Chester Creek Greenbelt. And within a half-a-mile radius of the park, there are actually 7 Title I schools, and many of these schools are using the park for outdoor education and youth programming as well. So Parks and Recreation recently updated the master plan for this park. We undertook a public process, multifaceted effort. We worked very closely with the community advisory group, who was a group made up of different representatives of neighborhoods around the park. There were public workshops and open houses, a survey of over 400 residents, and finally the plan was presented both to the Parks and Recreation Commission and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2022. So the master plan, one thing it identified was the community really values this park and how it balances the developed recreational facilities with the protection of natural resources in the park. It's a 300-acre park. It has vast natural resources and wildlife habitat as well as recreation opportunities. So in this spirit, the master plan recommends the development of single-track trails in this north area of the park in order to activate underused space and also bring a new type of recreation opportunity, not only to Russian Jack, but to this area of Anchorage. So a couple of reasons why this site is ideal for single-track trail development. Like I mentioned, it brings a new type of activity to this side of town. Currently, single-track trails, which are designed for mountain biking, are only really available at Kincaid Park and Hillside Park. So this will be really accessible to a lot of folks, both on foot and by bike and by car. This, what you're seeing photos of here is the former footprint of a Girl Scouts day camp that hasn't been used for a number of years. So this area of the park, we're really hoping to bring new life through this trail development and bring positive use to the area. As you can see, there's also already existing trails in this area, both Nordic trails, soft surface trails, and some social unmanaged trails. So this proposal makes use of those social trails and tries to minimize kind of the impact and development in this area. And lastly, something the community really valued was locating these single-track trails away from sensitive natural resources. So one reason this area is well fitted for the project, it's upland, it's away from Class A or all wetlands in the park, and it's also away from the Russian Jack Springs and Chester Creek, which are located south of the Selcraig Chalet area and south of the golf course. So it's a really great fit and really celebrates the community's values for this park. So knowing that the community really wants to see this happen, how do we make it happen? I'm joined here by our project partner, Alaska Trails. They're a nonprofit specializing in trail development, maintenance, volunteer support and management, and fundraising. Alaska Trails already has received a challenge grant to contribute funding towards this project from the Anchorage Park Foundation, and they're awaiting more grant opportunities as well from the state. Alaska Trails is a proven partner. They've already served 5 seasons with the Youth Employment and Parks program. So they hire professional trail builders and designers to make projects like this happen, not only in the Muni, but on state lands as well. And just in addition, Parks and Recreation has also raised bond funds to support the master plan recommendations. And we're also waiting to hear back about some grant funding support. So what this site looks like right now, the trails in this area range from, as I mentioned, the narrow social trails that are unmanaged. There's also soft surface trails that are multi-use, and some of them are groomed in the winter for Nordic skiing. And throughout the park, both the north and south section, there's also a paved multi-use trail. And so how single track fits into those trail types. Single track trails are designed for mountain bikes, but are multi-use and are popular all over town with walkers and joggers and other types of users. They're typically between 1 foot and 3 feet wide with additional clearance on either side. Typically the organic soil is removed and replaced with a more compact mineral or gravel soil and with added drainage features and design, and that creates a more sustainable tread long term. So looking here at the trail layout, Alaska Trails developed this concept for 3.1 miles of new trail, making some use of those existing social trails as well. What you're seeing in yellow in the middle there is the existing Nordic multi-use trail. And so these trails are designed to fit within that footprint. This has worked really well at Kincaid and Hillside Parks. The single track trails would be accessible from the paved trail, but they wouldn't have crossings with that paved multi-use trail. And when the single track trails would cross the Nordic trails, this would be as close to a 90-degree angle as possible and located on uphill areas also where possible to make good use of the topography and just create a predictable environment so that users aren't surprising each other. So 3 components to this trail design. There's a beginner loop in green around the area, and this is connected by the more intermediate trails. That would be one directional to provide a safer and more fun experience. And there's also a skills loop proposed, and this is south of the picnic shelter, bringing new life to that area, as I mentioned. So some examples of what that might look like. These photos, some of these photos are from Mirror Lake Park. Beginner trails are meant to be flowy, not very steep, and appeal to lots of types of users, and really integrate into the natural environment. Intermediate trails would be a bit steeper, targeting average grade between 6 and 10%, and they may include built features or the option to go over a built feature like a boardwalk or a rock jump, and you'd also get into the more steeper, challenging terrain with these trails. Finally, the skills loop would bring this all together in a smaller area, really appealing to youth and families and allowing the user to kind of try out some of those features before they go into the longer loops. Wayfinding is an important component of the design. Trail posts are proposed at all trail crossings, encouraging bikers to yield to other trail users and be aware of their environment. We'd also put kiosks at the trail access points, and this allows us to post safety information and overall directional information and maps. So I just want to close by reiterating that since the master plan was approved, Alaska Trails has brought this more refined concept to 4 surrounding community councils. They earned broad support for the project. They also received letters of support from Mighty Bikes, a youth program, Arctic Bicycle Club, Single Track Advocates, as well as elected officials serving East Anchorage. So there's a lot of community support and recognition for how great these trails will make this park. And finally, the Alaska Trails also presented this to the Parks and Recreation Commission recently and earned unanimous support for the proposal. So with that, I'll close out and happy to take questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the petitioner? Commissioner Foland?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I just have a quick question. Are there really over 700 parking spots already on this park?
Yes, thank you for the question, Commissioner. So there's parking areas you can see near the softball fields, the soccer fields, also near the Polar Bear Playground, which is like right out of this frame. In addition, there's parking around the Lydia Selcraig Chalet, so that's in the south area of the park. So it's kind of spread out. There's also another one off of Boniface on the east side of the park. So
I mean,
yeah,
that's incredible.
many spots.
Yeah. That's it.
I have a question. Will there, because it's expected to be used by children and it is a park that has kind of a known issue with less than desirable uses, is there any plan to put in lighting?
Not at this time within the single-track trail development. The master plan does discuss and does recommend the completion of what's called right now the lighted loop, so the paved multi-use trail that goes north to south. There's a missing section of lighting sort of on that east border of the park, and the master plan recommends eventually lighting that paved section, but that would require additional funding and is a future plan, and so no lighting in the single-track development.
And then my other question is, in Anchorage, we have a lot of people with dogs. Is a plan, I mean, because you are attracting multi-purpose users, to put multiple dog waste stations throughout the multi-use trail for walking?
Yeah, definitely. That's something, if we're improving an area and bringing more use, definitely would want to bring in that type of amenity. There's also, just to note, north of this development, across from the multi-use trail, there's a off-leash dog area, which not a lot of people know about. There's the master plan discusses recommendations to really improve and revitalize that area as well, and better define the off-leash dog area. So I suppose in the future, you kind of have those coexisting uses and a better defined area too for dog walkers.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. Can you speak a little bit to, after the trails are construction, how does the maintenance and upkeep pan out afterwards?
Yeah, that's a great question. So part of maintenance is just designing a really good sustainable trail. So something that Alaska Trails is an expert in. They also will assist with maintenance, and there's a couple of ways to do that. They bring in volunteers as a nonprofit. They've raised a ton of funding just through donated volunteer hours. So they're able to kind of raise that support, bring people out, and a lot of the single track trail maintenance, sometimes it's just kind of cutting vegetation and things that volunteers can accomplish. So that's kind of the perk to these trails, is we hope they're low maintenance long term and actually bring a better design than some of the existing unmanaged trails that are there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions? We'll now open the hearing to public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to testify? Okay. No one has approached to testify. Would the petitioner like to use their remaining time?
No, I don't think so.
And then I ask one more time, are there any more questions from the commissioner for the petitioner or for staff?
Sorry, I have a procedural question. If I want to make a recommendation, but I don't want my vote to be dependent on that recommendation, can I do that, or do I just need to hold off? You see what I'm like?
You could add it as a finding.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't quite sure whether I knew there was a way to do that, but I didn't remember exactly the point at which I could do that. Sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. Thanks. Thank you. So, having no more questions for the petitioner or for staff, the public hearing is now closed. The matter now rests with the body. May we have a motion to approve case 2023-0040? It was moved by Commissioner Gordy. Please state your motion.
I move in case 2023-0040 to approve the MOA Parks and Rec trail review application to construct approximately 3.1 miles of single-track trails within Rush and Jack Springs Park for beginner and intermediate mountain biking.
Thank you. It was seconded by Commissioner Lucas. Please state your motion.
I motion to approve.
Commissioner Gordy, to speak to her motion. Commissioner Gordy, would you please speak to your motion?
Yes. Per the application, this planned bike park is consistent with the area-wide trails plan, the Anchorage Bull Park Natural Resources and Recreation Facility Plan, Anchorage 2020, Anchorage Bull Comprehensive Plan, and the Anchorage 2040 Land Use Plan. Additionally, it is consistent with Title 21 and the PLI Public Lands and Institutions use. As a park with outdoor recreation is an already allowed use within the zoning district. Aside from that, I just want to say this is a really exciting project and a very well put together plan. It's pretty exciting to see more bike trail opportunities in Anchorage in a general sense, but also to see it kind of expanding out across the entire Anchorage Bowl instead of just kind of in the south and midtown area of Anchorage. This seems like a really great use for this area of this park. And I'm excited to see what kind of people it brings in and hopefully a lot more youth biking, which is very cool. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gordy. Commissioner Lucas, please speak to your second.
I second this case, number 20230040, for the same reasons. I think it's aligned with the master plan, and I'd like to make a comment towards the space activation for East Anchorage, which I think our community, as well as future community into the east side of Anchorage, can benefit from this project. And I can see that there's a lot of work towards a thorough plan, and thank you for all the volunteer hours that were put in to make this happen. It's been well overdue. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners wishing to speak to the motion and/or add findings?
I also intend to support this motion, and I would, like to just follow up, and I agree with what the other commissioners have stated. Really well done, super exciting, great for the community. The only thing I would like to recommend, and it sounded like from your response to, I'm sorry, I'm having a brain moment.
Chair McKee?
Chair McKee. Sorry, Commissioner McKee. That this had already been looked at as a potential, but I know for winter use specifically for me, personally, having this be lit would make a big difference in terms of my personal comfort level and having my children there. And I understand that there are usually several reasons why that couldn't, this is wonderful. I intend to support it. I would love it if it could be lit at some point in the future. And I think it would make a difference in terms of how much it is used specifically in the winter, considering how dark it is. That's the only recommendation I would like to make. Thanks.
I also have a comment, and I agree. I also intend to support the motion. I'm super excited that they're planning to do this development. I live in Airport Heights. My husband and I like to mountain bike. We use the trails at BLM. I just see this as being an addition and wonderful, but I also, riding the trails, the ones that are lit, feel a lot safer, and especially with the intended use of the schools in the area using the track, again, in the winter, having it lit. Because I was looking, I liked that the one portion of it parallels Boniface so that there's a lot of visibility of the children. Same thing with it paralleling Bar. But some of those interior tracks, it would be nice if they're illuminated at some point in time. But yeah, but I'm excited, and I think this is a great use of the park area. So thank you. Are there any other comments or discussion? If there is none, may we have a vote on case number 2023-0040. And case number 2023-0040 passed with a vote of 5 in favor. And that is so it passes. And thank you for coming in. Yeah. So now we're moving on to commissioners' comments. Okay. Commissioners' comments. We'd like to welcome Ryan Lucas to the commission, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, everyone. My name is Ryan Lucas. I'm happy to be here to serve our city and all the great things happening and the various projects in town. I'm going on 18 years in commercial real estate as a brokerage owner, 15 years here in Alaska and previously in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I'm just happy to be here, finally. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the board. Are there any other comments from commissioners? Could I please get a motion to adjourn? It was moved by Commissioner Gordy and seconded by Commissioner Foland. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 7:03 p.m.